Very good evening, friends. I'm delighted to present two super ladies to you. They are both multi talented authors. They'll be in conversation with each other on Devika Das's book, The Mind Games. Antara Banerjee will be in conversation with her. So I won't take much of your time. I'll quickly introduce both of them before I hand it over to Antara. I start with Devika. Devika Das is an award winning author and actor. She pursues her passion for writing and theatre in Hyderabad. Her title, The Mind Games, is a national bestseller and is now available in bookstores in London. She has recently published a Hindi short story, Meghna, with Blue Rose Publishers. She has won the National Award for Short Films Waterman and The Silent Voice, directed by Anshul Sinha. She has been invited as a speaker for many national literary festivals, TED circles, and also uh, judged several literary competitions organized by schools and colleges. Currently, Devika is working as a content strategist for an IT company in Hyderabad. Devika, you've almost become a family member at the Readers and Writers Club. So, a very warm welcome to you again. And I hope you have a fabulous session on your book, The Mind Games, with Antara. Antara Banerjee is a marketing, communication, and branding specialist. She's also an award winning author of the books The Goddess in Flesh and To Be a Woman, and a trilingual poet with the book Pieces of a Tormented Mind, to her credit. Her works have featured in anthologies like The Kali Project, Peacocks in a Dream, OPA, Freedom Raga, Macabre Tales, Chrysanthemanium Chronicles, to name a few. She has a master's from Goldsmith College, London, and is a graduate from Presidency College, Kolkata. Antara is the recipient of the Sanmark Aparajita Award 2019, Young Achiever Literature, and Udan Empowering Women Awards in 2017 for her contribution in women centric literature, among many other awards and recognitions conferred on her. Thank you so much, Antara, for giving us time today at the Readers and Writers Club. And over to you, and have a wonderful evening talking about the mind games with Devika. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mona. Hello, Devika. Welcome to our conversation. Can't hear you. Your mic is
Yes,
off.
yes, we meet again.
Yes, we meet again. Today we are going to talk about Devika's book, The Mind Game. It's published by the Blue Rose Publishers. And today, Devika, I am going to play the devil's advocate. Devil. Yeah. So now
Sure.
yeah. So my first question to you is that your book is called The Mind Game, but it is all about emotions. Now, why this dichotomy?
So basically, when the brain is under control, when the brain is under control, you can feel what you are going through. If the brain is not under your control, then you won't understand what you are feeling. That's why it is the mind game. Because
Mm.
when you channelize your emotions, you are able to uh, like gain control over your actions as well.
Mm.
So that's why it's the mind game.
So you mean our heart is in the brain?
See, it's a very complex thing to understand because whether we have this dilemma whether we should listen to our heart or to our mind, what should we do? But if both are in sync, and if you know what you are going through in the current situation, I think you will take wiser decisions.
Devika, I have many times heard. Uh, I mean, most of the time, it goes with what you want to say in the book, that you try to control your emotions and control your mind and understand all this. But sometimes, when you do it, people tell you that let let your emotions out. Only then you will be, your well-being is in, letting it out. So, don't you think it sounds a little bit contrary?
So what happens is you are absolutely right. You must freely express yourself. But
Yes.
in order to understand that what you are actually going through, you should know. You should be honest to yourself. And that honesty comes when your mind is under control and when you have that emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
Because what
So,
happens is sometimes we are very confused that what
hmm,
am I feeling in this situation,
hmm,
what am I going through? I can't understand. But
hmm.
you actually know what you are going through, you just don't accept it.
Okay. So you mean we remain in denial?
Yes, we do. Most often. Most often.
Hmm.
And it happens not when we are feeling positive, but when we
Hmm.
feel negative, we are mostly in denial. We say, no, no, nothing is wrong in my life,
Hmm.
which is a blatant lie we tell ourselves.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, Devika, do you have any background in psychology? Why have you felt that you need to write this book?
So I have been an I don't have an educational qualification in psychology per se, but I have been
Hmm.
reading books related to psychology from the age of 15.
Hmm.
And so it's been more than 20 years now that I have been reading psychology,
Hmm.
and the subject intrigues me a lot. Like, how do humans behave, human
Hmm.
behavior, because it is evolving with each year, and
Hmm.
like with each situation human behavior keeps evolving. So
Hmm.
it's a pretty interesting subject, and I have been always curious to know about why do people react and they don't respond. Why don't they
Hmm.
take some time to reflect on their emotions or reflect on the situation and then respond to the stimuli rather than reacting blatantly? So that this question has like many a times I have experienced it with myself. I was very
Hmm.
impulsive before, but now I have become a little calmer. I respond to situations. I think twice before coming to a conclusion. So I
Hmm.
think all जिसे कहते हैं we in Hindi we say ठहराव or the
Hmm.
calm. I have
Hmm.
achieved that state through emotional intelligence and by reading psychology. Yeah.
Actually, Devika, tell me something. There is a lot of talk about IQ and it being different from EQ. Can you explain?
So IQ is intelligence quotient, which is like academic knowledge or your intelligence basically. But emotion EQ is emotional intelligence. IQ is basically related to the subject matter knowledge, or basically the practical application of knowledge which you use to solve problems. That is
Hmm.
IQ, as per my understanding. And
Hmm.
EQ, what I understand is EQ is basically, if you, for suppose I am talking to you right now, and
Hmm.
if I am aware of the emotional state that I am in, that is
Hmm.
emotional intelligence. Being aware of the present state of mind, that is emotional
Hmm.
intelligence, and that is
Okay.
EQ. And if EQ is basically, it is a factor to measure how how emotionally present you are at most of the times.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So, Devika, uh, um, everybody has a different kind of EQ and IQ.
Yes.
And how do we expect everyone to rationalize and analyze everything and act like that. Because it is a hard thing to do. Most people do not have clarity.
Yes.
When you talk to people, you will see, this is a practical thing that I've experienced. I've been a teacher as well, and most of the time I have seen that people do not, probably they have clarity what they want to do in life later, but they do not know about various things that are happening in their life presently, you know uh, so how do we expect that everybody will be able to rationalize even after reading the book? There are many things we read and we get influenced by them, but
Yes.
how practicable is it? That is my question.
So, thank you for such a lovely question. As always, you have been a voracious reader and you have read my books in depth. So,
Yeah.
it is very evident that you have read The Mind Game also very deeply.
Yeah.
And I would say that I am not suggesting that The Mind Game is your go to book or it will be a one stop solution for all your problems. But
Mm-hmm.
what the feedback that I have received from readers is that they have been able to think clearly. The
Mm-hmm.
clarity of thought has come after reading the book. They have understood that, okay, if they have understood the importance of acknowledging emotions, accepting that they are going through a bad phase, or
Mm-hmm.
accepting what they are going through. That
Mm-hmm.
strength, that strength they have got after reading the book. So I think, because one of my, I will just cite an example.
Mm-hmm.
One of my readers called me immediately after reading the book twice. So she
Okay.
called me, she said that during the pandemic, she was going through a whirlpool of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and the mind game gave her clarity of thought.
Okay.
It was
Mm-hmm.
like, for 2 minutes, I was silent because I didn't know how to react to this or how to respond to her comment. The
Mm-hmm.
book has had such a big impact on people, on readers. Like, if I have been able to give direction to think clearly, I think my
Mm-hmm.
aim has been achieved. My aim of writing the book has been achieved, because I never
Mm-hmm.
claim, and even in the disclaimer of the book, or the introduction also, I have mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
it is not a, it does not have sure short methods that will tell you, okay, the solution for problem X is Y. I have not
Mm-hmm.
said that. I have not
Mm-hmm.
said in the book. But what I
It
have
is
said,
more about the techniques of
techniques and how to think
ways of.
objectively, and how to
Mm-hmm.
think objectively in every situation. I think that is
Mm-hmm.
what the book has taught people. And I'm very happy that it helped people in the pandemic. It helped people cope up with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the book has served its purpose.
Very good, excellent. And it's very good when the readers call you up and tell you that
Yes,
they have liked your book and they have benefited from it. It's
yes,
there's nothing more that an author can ask for. It's more
correct,
than an award, isn't it?
correct. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Devika, there are places where you have spoken about God, taking refuge in God or spirituality. So, God is an entity who is outside of your situation, and or even people who kind of disturb you, or whom you feel attracted to, or who you want to go to. So, God is outside of all this. So, how does the spirituality or Godhead help you in understanding your emotion or dealing with your situation?
So, God, I don't, by God, I mean there is a universal power which is controlling all of us. I don't personify any particular god, or
Mhm.
I am not signifying the importance of any one god. I'm just
Mhm.
saying there is a universal power in the cosmos which
Mhm.
is guiding all the humans, which is guiding all our humans, which is guiding our inner soul, which is the core of a person, which is the core of a person. And
Mhm.
I think when you can relate to that power,
Mhm.
and when you, because sometimes happens, we call it gut feeling. What is
Mhm.
gut feeling? How do you
Mhm.
know that you can sense something?
Mhm.
What, who is guiding you in that? Who
Right.
is
Right.
guiding you to get that gut feeling? That is the
Right.
universal power which is guiding you.
True. 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 True.
So when you start having the ultimate belief on that gut feeling,
Mhm.
and that is strengthened when you start accepting that everything happens for a reason. This I have seen it happen in my own life. When I
Mhm.
start acknowledging the situations that have happened in my life, the ups and downs, the people whom I have met, when I start acknowledging, and the power of acceptance is magical. It is magical. I can't explain in words
Mhm.
what the inner strength it gives when you start accepting things as they come. The
Understood.
inner strength is built like it is manifold, and you get an inner strength to fight the world or fight the challenges that come your way. It is magical. It is magical, and I cannot explain right now what that situation is, because what happens whenever I am in a, and through this knowledge of acceptance, or through
Mhm.
this inner strength, I have been able to develop a support system
Mhm.
which which gives me that positive vibes.
Mhm.
And I think that circle of positivity, the inner circle that they call, the inner
Mhm.
circle is very, very influential in my life.
Mhm.
And it is, why I call it magical is because when there is some problem,
Mhm.
one of the persons who is in the support system will definitely call.
Mhm.
It is telepathic. We call it telepathy.
Mhm.
It happens. It happens that the person calls, and okay, the whole problem is solved. Wow, such so magical.
Mhm.
And sometimes it also, what happens is sometimes you get the patience, patience to cope up with the bad situation. That okay, you tell
Mhm.
yourself, you tell yourself that it is a phase and it will pass on.
Mhm.
Nothing is permanent in life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everything is a phase, and you should accept this phase. So
Mhm.
if I start talking about this itself will take 1 hour. So in brief, I will just say that it gives you immense strength and self confidence that you can walk on your path despite the distractions.
Can you see that devilish smile on my face?
Yes, I can.
I
The
told
devil
you that
is
I'm
being
going to.
aroused. The devil is being aroused. I can see. You have a
Because
counter question ready. I know.
yes, I told you that I'm going to play the devil's advocate today. So, any book that talks about emotions and tries to, bring some uh, order to this chaos of feelings. Uh, Somehow, I always feel that there is an assumption of the mm, author that a human brain wiring is constant, which is never like that. You know,
Correct.
so what inspires me or motivates me or discourages me might not do the same thing to you. Then there are criminal mindsets which totally completely work in a different way. you know so that is why I asked you the first question, that mind games has that kind of a connotation, that there is some manipulation, something that is going in the mind. Hmm. It sounds like suspense, and sounds a bit, you know, intriguing. Uh, so it's not very on the same plane all the time.
Yes.
It can be different. Suppose
Yes.
we use the same techniques that you are making. I mean, you have written about making the situation a bit more clear. What happens when the person you are thinking about, uses the same techniques and tries to manipulate your brain? What happens then?
So that has also happened. That has also happened. People.
Mhm,
So it the mind game is a bit of research and a bit of lessons that I have learned through my
mhm,
experiences. Because see, first of all, we are very shy of our vulnerabilities. We
mhm,
don't accept our vulnerabilities.
mhm,
As I said, we will announce publicly about our strengths or whatever are our good points. But when
mhm,
it comes to our vulnerabilities, we are very shy and try to hide our vulnerabilities.
mhm,
And what happens is we create a dual self. Duality comes in.
mhm,
What I have tried to do in my personal life also is keep that duality away.
mhm,
I am training my mind to keep that
mhm,
duality away and accept your vulnerabilities. It's okay. Things happen. Things
mhm.
happen.
No,
And
this is what you are saying. Like
yes,
most of what you are saying is a reaction,
yes,
and more. I mean, less about action.
yes,
Hmm. So
yes,
now there are two things. What inspires you or motivates you into action? It might be a good thing or it might be a bad thing.
yes,
Your motivation could come from spirituality. Your motivation can come from devil worship.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
And there are plenty of people who are malevolent,
yes,
right? So, on the serious note, uh, how do you handle that? I mean, with the understanding you have shown in the mind game, this book, how do you handle that thing? That, that there are various kinds of brains, and
yes.
not all of them are looking for solutions from themselves. I mean, for
Correct,
themselves. Rather,
correct,
they are looking at different things
yes,
to manipulate others, to harm
correct,
others.
yes,
And they also need this understanding, deep understanding of what a person can get harmed by, and how that person can be tormented more and more. Those manipulations also are there. So
yes.
what do you say about that?
So about that, I would say that see, understanding the mind and understanding what your mind thinks is a puzzle. Is a puzzle. It is a complex puzzle. In order to simplify that, you have to. That's why I say that it is not a one-stop solution. It is
Mm-hmm.
just that it will create awareness about
Mm-hmm.
what is your thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not pertaining to any particular person. It
Mm-hmm.
is not giving solution to one problem. It is not giving one solution for one problem. It is
Mm-hmm.
saying what the mind game does is it says that okay, there are possibilities. You
Mm-hmm.
have to. The choice is yours. Which
Mm-hmm.
possibility do you choose? There are
Right.
possibilities. So there is no perfect answer for any problem. You can't
Mm-hmm.
say X is the perfect solution for the problem Y. You can't say
Mm-hmm.
that. But because what happens is sometimes you might you might respond in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but after some years you might find that the solution was a wrong one because you you responded to the situation that was there in that time. You took the best solution according to your wisdom. So
Right.
wisdom does not develop in a day. It
Mm-hmm.
develops through experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do not learn the lessons from your experiences, then you will continue falling multiple times. There are a lot of people who have gone through, and you can learn
Mm-hmm.
from your own experiences and
Mm-hmm.
from other people's experiences also. It is not necessary that you have to undergo the same situation. If
Mm-hmm.
you have seen another person go through a similar situation,
Mm-hmm.
you can use your rationality, you can use your knowledge
Mm-hmm.
to come out of it. If you are in that situation, what will you do? You can come up with your solution. So I think it is a very personal, it's a very personal affair. It
Mm-hmm.
differs from person to person because no two people think alike. I think in some way, you think in another way.
Mm-hmm.
We might be faced with the same problem, but we will
Mm-hmm.
approach it in different ways and we will come up with unique solutions. That's why I say, in order to understand your own self, first understand your own self, and
Mm-hmm.
then try to look for solutions in other people. Don't judge people. Don't judge people. What happens now? What happens now? We say, okay, we are so quick in making judgments about other people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what is their backstory. What is their backstory?
Mm-hmm.
What if we were there in their backstory? What if their backstory was ours? What would we have become? We don't know. We don't know. So why think that, okay, why be so rigid? Why be so rigid? Never be so rigid. Be, what do you say? Malleable like water.
Mm-hmm.
Keep flowing.
Right. Right. So, in things, in many situations, that is possible. But we may be generally very calm and quiet. But there are situations which are very, heavy upon us, and maybe we did not ourselves go through it. Like, especially being a woman, the crimes, brutal crimes that happen against women, the kind of feelings that we come up with. And then we sometimes want an equal and as brutal retribution to the criminals. Is it right or is it wrong?
See, nobody becomes a criminal right from birth. Right from childbirth, nobody is a criminal. I have a chapter which says, which starts with that your background and upbringing matters a lot in what you become as a person.
Mhm,
Your exposure. What is your
mhm,
exposure? The book also talks about this aspect, like why exposure is important in personality development. For example, coming to a criminal, what I'll say is that if we understand if we go deep into the story of a criminal, we'll see that the backstory is somewhat like the person has already witnessed so much of criminal action or violence in
mhm,
his or her in their childhood that they think childhood is the absolute truth for them.
mhm,
So the truth for me, I may not accept that crime or that violence being as truth for me because I haven't seen that.
mhm,
But if a person is exposed, like for a person who is being brought up in a war zone,
mhm,
you will have an inclination towards violence.
mhm.
It's very hard to detach yourself from that environment.
Right, right.
So the upbringing matters a lot.
Mhm,
The background, that's why they have rehabilitation programs in jails. so that they can teach the criminals that there is a world outside violence where there is peace and calm. And now you have a choice whether you want to still continue in that violent world or you want to come to this world. You are being given a choice after going to jail or the rehabilitate. I will call it a rehabilitation center and not a jail.
Mm-hmm.
See, everybody needs corrective action.
Mm.
So even the criminals get a scope for corrective action.
Right.
But nobody is born criminal. This I cannot accept that a person is born criminal. Every child is innocent, but it all depends on the exposure, which what the child's future will be depends on the exposure that the child gets.
But I have heard, Devika, that the wiring of the brain, which is congenital, which has
Hmm.
nothing to do with our experiences or anything. The chemicals that are released in the brain, those uh, bring up criminality in a human being.
Hmm.
So, so I am very interested in understanding, because books like this, they try to address the average, or the normal brain wiring, but what happens to the exceptional wirings? It might be good or bad, whatever. How will you handle those things in your understanding?
So, like I say, the exceptional, which why first of all, why do we call them exceptional? Because they are few in number.
Mm-hmm.
They are few in number. That is not the common behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the
Absolutely.
common behavior. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you actually segregate them and study only about them, that what makes them such, what makes them behave in such a manner.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of research also needs to be done
Right.
in what goes in their life,
Mm.
what was the actual problem, and as you said,
Mm.
chemicals, as you said,
Mm.
genetics also play a very big role. Like
Absolutely.
I will say, I have observed it in, if you see family traits,
Mm.
if you see family traits,
Mm.
I may not inherit something right from my parents,
Mm-hmm.
but I may have some trait of my grandparent,
Mm. True.
like allergies.
Mm.
There are certain allergies or medical issues which are
Mm.
inherited from, like I may not have inherited from or from the directly from the parent, but
Mm-hmm.
my grandparent had it.
Mm.
So similarly, this violent behavior also, that is also a reaction. That also is a genetic issue.
Mm-hmm.
If that
Yeah.
gene is present, if that gene is carried over to the
Right.
child will show the child will show some glimpses of that behavior. And I have heard it in family functions,
Mm-hmm.
people saying, oh, you act like your grandmother,
Mm.
or
Absolutely.
you have traits similar to your grandparent.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that come? That is genetics.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Absolutely.
genetics. So
Mm-hmm.
everything, so it is science, scientific knowledge is required for that. And I think parents have a very important role here. If they observe such behavior
Mm-hmm.
in the child and they can relate it to a family member, I
Mm-hmm.
think they should take the corrective measure immediately
Mm-hmm.
and not
Mm-hmm.
then let that behavior grow, not let that
Absolutely.
behavior grow. Like they say, nip it in the bud. So same thing
Mm.
has to be done. So parents have a huge role in that.
Absolutely, absolutely. What? How much do you think that our exposure, experience, etc., and the social conditioning, dominant social conditioning, how much does it play in the character building?
It plays a big role because I think when we say that a child of 3 years, अरे वो तो बच्चा है, वो बच्चा नहीं है. The child is observing you. The child is observing the elders.
Mm-hmm.
A child is impressionable age is till 5 years. You
Mm-hmm.
the the mindset is already prepared by the age of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like the basic core of a child is developed by the age of 5. Before the child goes to school.
Mm-hmm.
So, till the age of 5, what is the exposure to the child? It matters a lot because the child may not talk, the child may not respond immediately, but the observations are creating a sense of right and wrong in the mind of a child.
Absolutely.
The child is very intelligent. We think, अरे बच्चा है उसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Very
Mm-hmm.
wrong. Very wrong. It's a
Mm-hmm.
wrong notion that parents have. अरे बच्चा है छोड़ दो. Because
Mm-hmm.
I have seen when parents fight in our when our parents never used to fight in front of us because
Mm-hmm.
they used to say, I'll say this in Bengali because they
Mm-hmm.
used to say कि উঁচু গলায় কথা বললে বাচ্চাটা ভয় পেয়ে যাবে
Mm-hmm.
আর বাচ্চাটা বুঝতে পারবে that there is some tension between us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The child will have a bad impact, bad notion about the relationship of the parents. That's why you should
Ab-
not quarrel in front of your kids.
Absolutely.
So why is
Absolutely.
it? Why was this said? Because the child's mind is fragile. It is impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
it is like clay.
Mm-hmm.
The way it will get molded depends on the parents and what kind of exposure the child gets.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the parent. Parenting is a very big responsibility. If you cannot be a responsible parent, I must say you should go childless because it is a very big responsibility.
Absolutely. But you never know till you become a parent that you're a good parent or not.
No, there is nothing good or bad, but at least you should what you know is not the right behavior. At least you should not express that behavior in front of the child.
That's a very difficult thing to do, Devika. To think that, oh, I'm not so good, so I'm not going to have a child. I don't think that works that way.
That is something I have taken in my life.
Anyway, I mean, I think that is a very nice thing to think, but very, very less practicable. Yeah, and then now we were talking about the childhood. What about the time when you actually get into the big bad world? And you have talked about happy workplace. You have talked at length about it. Love what you do is what you keep saying. How many people get to do what they love to do?
You may not get the right opportunity at the beginning, but that does not mean you cannot love your job. See, you have been hired for your skill set.
Mm-hmm.
You are contributing your skills to the organization. It may
Mm-hmm.
not be your passion. It may
Right.
not be a role that you are passionate about. But that
Mm-hmm.
does not mean you do not love your workplace because see, at the end of the day you are spending 8 to 9 hours at a place. You have to do your job because you need the salary at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
month.
Right.
So first, on first
Mm-hmm.
of every month you want that paycheck. It is a
Mm-hmm.
necessity. It is a necessity, but
Right.
but you can't just say that okay, I did not get my kind of job, so
Mm-hmm.
I will just not take any interest in the job.
Mm-hmm.
Being interested does not mean that you always will get, like I am passionate about writing and acting, but my
Mm-hmm.
job is in IT. I
Mhm.
have been doing it for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
So, but when I am at the workplace,
Mhm.
I am 100% accountable for the task that I have been assigned with. I think that much honesty we should have with ourselves.
Mhm.
That will come only if we love our workplace. And there I have mentioned the tips on how to love your workplace. It's basically the place where you spend 8 to 9 hours. At
Mhm.
least that should give you some takeaway in the at the end of the day.
Mhm. Okay.
You should not feel that you have wasted your 8 to 9 hours. 8 to 9 hours is too much. It's like one third of your day. One third
Mhm.
of your day. You can't afford. Time is very precious. Time is
Mhm.
precious and you should understand the value of time. You
Mhm.
can't just say that okay, ho gaya, okay, I'm just going. Why
Mhm.
are you going? Why do you
Mhm.
go every day? There should be, if there is no external motivation, if there is no motivation from the manager,
Mhm.
you can do self learning. There are a lot of options now available with the internet, and the
Mhm.
pandemic has taught us that there are a lot of self learning opportunities
Mhm.
in which through which you can entertain yourself at the workplace also. So we have, that is what I said. You have to look for ways. You have to
Mhm.
look for options. And that will only come when you are emotionally intelligent. When you know what you are actually feeling. If
Mhm.
you don't know that, you are lying to yourself and external ko to chhod do aap. But you are lying to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, and I think this should be the last question to you. And I know you had a tough time because I actually purposely played the devil's advocate today.
I loved it. I loved it. I hope the devil is a little bit calm now.
No, actually, the last question is about many devils.
Okay. Okay.
So this is also related to workplace. One
Okay.
thing is to love your work. Another thing is to handle workplace politics. It is a huge thing and drives you to many things in even your personal life and professional life.
Yes.
So how do you think that can be tackled? Because it is about finance and directly about your livelihood.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is kind of a compulsion as well. You like it or you don't like it, you have to be there. You know, you have to face those people who are probably not very happy with you or don't like you, or want you to fail so that they could show themselves as successful. So all these things, I mean, are very demotivating.
Yes.
So would you talk about handling all these things?
So I have mentioned about toxicity at the workplace and how to handle toxic workplaces. I don't give a very flowery solution like okay, just quit the job. No, that is not the actual thing because see, wherever there are people, there will be politics.
Mm-hmm.
That is a golden rule. Wherever
Mm-hmm.
there are more people, you have it in the family, you have it in the workplace, wherever you
Absolutely.
go. In any organization where you are dealing with people, there will be politics. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot, there will be favoritism, there will be politics, there will be bias.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to measure the pros and cons. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, how much on in a day,
Mm-hmm.
what is the percentage of interaction that you are having with the toxic person?
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask, like in when gaslighting is a very common thing
Practical thing.
observed in toxic workplaces.
Yeah.
So gaslighting in common terms, in layman terms, is basically when somebody else tries to provoke you for some to do something. That is
Mm-hmm.
gaslighting in
Mm-hmm.
simple terms.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, when that kind of a situation happens, you have to take a step back and ask yourself four questions. First of all, who is the person who is gaslighting? How important is that person in your life or in your workplace? Is that your immediate superior? Is that your immediate colleague? Third, what is the, how much impact can that person have on your own thinking? Because if you start taking actions based on what the person has said, then you are 100% exposed to the person who has gaslighted, and that person has been successful. So do you want to control your life on your own, or do you want to give the control to somebody else? That is something you have to decide. It's a very very tough exercise. It requires a lot of practice, lot of first few days of this training. Your mind will take a lot of energy out of you. You will be frustrated, you will be thinking that what a useless thing it is, why am I dealing with this person, I should just quit. But how many organizations will you quit? You can't escape. That is
Exactly.
escapism. That's
Mm-hmm.
escapism. Why are you becoming an escapist? Instead,
Right.
why don't you strengthen yourself
Mm-hmm.
through your work performance and show that, okay, my work will deliver. I don't care about what the other person says. And do not blindly believe anybody. There are no friends in the workplace. I am telling you, there are no friends in the workplace. If you get genuine friends, very good. You are very lucky. You are very lucky. But most of the times, what happens is, shubide badi wale jake.
Mm-hmm.
People want to take advantage of your abilities and get the work done from you. So
Absolutely.
they will say sweet stuff. They will try
Mm-hmm.
to ignite you against the other person, and
Mm-hmm.
they will try to create a rift. Do not let that happen. Do not let that happen. See, you are as good as your team. If you are an independent contributor, then you don't care about whatever is happening, whatever politics is taking place. But if you are a member of a team, you have to keep the team dynamics. You have to remember that
Mm-hmm.
team dynamics has to be kept at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Your team has a goal to achieve. You are serving in the organization for your skills. You should let those skills speak. Because see, a lot of people get affected by this politics, and they start going against the team, or they will complain to the HR. What happens is, the HR already knows that who is playing politics. The HR is not a fool. The HR knows, the management also knows who is playing politics. So when you go and complain, you are showing your vulnerability, and you are showing that I am a weak person. I cannot handle all this. Then you will be asked to get out. Then you serve as a weak link. And if you really get a good manager who trusts you or who listens to you, it's a very very rare quality. Now people are training themselves to acquire the listening skills. But if you do not have a manager who listens, please do not go and complain. Please do not go and complain. You will face
that
the
that
brunt.
that is, yeah, that is the normal view of a workplace, that
Yes,
an employee is harassed, an employee is exploited, and an employee is manipulated and all. But what happens, the opposite the opposite thing, when someone refuses to be motivated, that person will just not, you know do, perform, deliver. Hmm?
correct, correct,
So, if now as a senior, what do you do? Because
yeah,
motivating people is a very big thing, not only in
correct,
workplace, everywhere.
correct,
Motivating people. I mean, there are very few actual leaders. There can be bosses, but
correct.
leaders motivate people. So, how do you motivate people to do the constructive thing? You will see. It is a very strange thing that it
Yes,
is
it is.
very easy to motivate people to do destructive things rather than to motivate people to do constructive things. How do
I
you think about it? What do you think?
so so in that way also, what happens is, first of all, you should appreciate the value of the person. I think what happens is, the people who are motivated by the destructive offers are
Mm,
basically because already they have low self worth.
mm,
They don't think they are adding any value to the organization. So it will be like, okay, how can I disturb the organization more?
mm,
And if you get some, what do you say? If somebody gaslights you in that, sone pe suhaga,
mm,
because already the person is feeling negative about the organization, then
mm,
some third person comes and motivates you to do something extra destructive. Obviously, you are adding fuel to the fire.
mm,
So in that case, what happens is, first of all, it is very like, I have been in the HR role, in the generalist role, and at that time we used to actually talk to the employees one on one and make them realize that you are a valuable asset to the organization because of what you offer and because of the person you are. I think that kind of confidence needs to be inculcated or instilled in every employee, which I think sadly organizations do not do nowadays.
mm,
I think if you are valued at the organization, if you feel valued, feeling
mm,
valued means not only getting a good appraisal or getting
mm,
an award. It is like every act, at
mm,
every step, at every after every project, if
mm,
that employee is told or appreciated that, okay, you have contributed, and even if that employee makes a mistake, you don't reprimand the employee in front of everybody. That it is constructive feedback. Constructive
mm,
feedback means that, okay, how this mistake of yours has negatively impacted the project. If that
okay.
person understands that, okay, one wrong action of mine has
Mm,
disturbed the project in this way, that person will take due caution next time. But what
mm,
happens now is, you will start reprimanding the employee in front of everybody, you will start abusing, you will not have control over yourself because your super boss is on your head, demanding the result. So you yourself are in stress, and you vent out the stress to the employee. That disturbs the relationship. So I think the pandemic has also taught us a very great lesson, that the employee employer relationship is very crucial for any organization. If you do not have a good rapport, I'm not saying you become best friends or you start going to each other's houses for parties and all and socialize, but the due respect of the personal contribution should be given. That is my take.
right. So the last question is the quote that you have used uh, right at the beginning of Bertrand Russell. The degree of one's emotions varies inversely with one's knowledge of the facts. Now, what does that mean?
So see, everybody is unique. No two people think alike. So the degree of emotions varies from one person to another. How I respond to a situation, how you react or respond to a situation is different. How I feel, I may feel happy or sad about something. You may not feel happy or sad about something, about the same thing. I think we need empathy. Empathy is a major, we are, as a society we lack empathy. we are too quick to just say that okay, this happens, this keeps happening. Just lend a shoulder to someone who wants to cry. Just lend a helping hand to somebody who wants help. Just be there for the person without judging without judging the situation or the way the person has behaved. Don't judge the person in that way.
Great. So, on that positive note, I think we can close our conversation today. Though any conversation on psychology is always endless, you can go on and on and on. Now, Mona is here. I hand it back to Mona. Thank you so much, Devika.
Thank you, Antaravi. Thank
Before
you.
we close the session, I have one quick question from Gopa Bhattacharjee for Devika, and the question reads: How do I control my disturbed mind caused due to other people's psychology, whom one cannot avoid?
So that's a very good question, Gopadi, and I would like to say that sometimes we overthink a lot, and we give a lot of attention to what other people think rather than focusing on what do we think about the situation. It also, like, how are we getting affected by, we have to measure that. We have to calm ourselves. We have to think that why am I getting affected by what the other person is saying. Why is it happening? Why is it affecting me so much? The same thing as I said in gaslighting also. What is the relationship? What is the importance of that person in my life? Why is that person's thoughts affecting me so much that my natural thoughts are being overpowered? I think somewhere or the other, we don't value ourselves that much. We don't give priority to ourselves. We have given it is a, no, what should I say? I think we have been brought up in such a way. The upbringing has been such that we care more about others than ourselves. I think it's time. I'm not saying that you neglect others or you ignore others, but first you give some importance to yourself and then think about others. It will not make the world a bad place.
Thank you so much, Antara and Devika. What an outstanding session. And I mean it from my heart. We had a lot of viewers today and they have congratulated both of you. They have said that they have benefited from this session. So I suggest to all our viewers that please get a copy of The Mind Game. And it's a book that will help you all the way, as we understood from this brilliant interaction between two award winning, talented, wonderful authors. So, a big thank you from the Readers and Writers Club and from the viewers to dearest Devika and our very favorite Antara. Have a wonderful evening. God bless
Thank
and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank you, Arthur. Thank you.
Thank you.